Good evening. This is MJ from Lioness Publications. And what we're going to do is we are going to finish up on Kristi Noem. Um, I wasn't able to do the whole thing earlier today as I expected. And it's sort of like what happened with Virginia. When I started looking at the charts, I said, okay, too much here. And what happened with her charts is that there's a lot going on right now. And I wanted to check and just make sure I covered all my bases. I also wanted to do a check to see whether there's more stuff coming up in the future or whether this is all just sort of hitting at this point. And it appears that it's all more hitting at this point. I haven't, checked everything, but it seems like the major shift has occurred or it will be occurring before the end of October. So that's one thing I did want to check. Now, she is having control of the DHS. She is a pretty powerful figure. So in effect, she has literally a military underneath her. And that sort of became apparent when I started reading the charts. I mean, you sort of think that, but you don't realize the implications of all that. So let's move on, and this will be part two. And we've got a few things that already happened, and I want to cover that first. So let's take a look at Venus here is squaring her sun. So that already happened, but that is in effect identifying that she probably had some type of crisis. In that she's looking at her relational, how she relates to people, and that's actually in conflict with who she typically is. So coming in with this position is probably having her interact with people in a way that is, I don't want to say foreign to her, but not something that she would typically do. Not to say that she's a friendly person or that she's cold, but it's not her normal way of interaction. Now, this has likely changed over time, but as I said, it's not her usual way of interacting. And some of this could be just the fact of being so cold and callous with the way the immigrants are being treated. The next thing we have is Sun trying Pluto. Now, we also had a Pluto angle before, and these are actually good Pluto angles. And that's one thing I had to sort of step back and sort of say, okay, she's got a good Pluto angle, but how is that being realized in the real world? So let me explain. Her sun, in effect, is trining Pluto. It has trined it. So that means she's empowered. She has influence. She has authority. She's got impact on future generations. So she's in a position to be able to do a lot. But when it comes to the real world, how is she using that? So there's a difference between what we can see in a person's chart and how it affects them. And then we take that environment and put it to other people that are being impacted. So she can have this move to, in effect, have power, but it may not be something that results in something good. So that was the Sun trining Pluto. We also have Mars in opposition to Uranus. So now we have Mars, action, Uranus. So it's Mars, action, aggression is hitting what? Sort of her rebellious side. So this is going to push her to flaunt the rules, to break rules, to have public clashes, to not follow protocols, to challenge the norms, and just to actually be involved in controversy. she's going to do actions that are volatile, that could result in eruptions. And again, this is Mars in opposition to her Uranus. So Uranus is in effect, think of it, the rebellion part of us, and Mars is action, causing her to act out. Now, what else do we have here? Sun is trying Saturn. So this Sun trying Saturn's trying Pluto is giving her a grand trine, which is great. It's a great type of configuration. She can do a lot with this. The thing is, on the flip side, there's other people that are impacted by what happens here. So what is this Sun try Saturn? She's going to have authority. She's going to consolidate power. Now, this is actually going to be happening by the end of September, this consolidating power. The other pieces I was talking about have already happened before today. Now, let's take a look at the next one, which is Mercury squaring Uranus. Okay. So Mercury is, again, the way she's talking. Uranus is the rebellion in her. So she's actually inflaming the situation in some cases. So she's creating things. She likes the public controversy. She looks at disruption here. So she wants to disrupt things. And this can also lead to sort of a know-it-all. But more important to remember here is the disruption. She's saying things, she's planning things to disrupt. Now, let's take a look at our next piece, which is the solar arc. So let's move to that. Now, solar arc has Mars, which is inconjunct to Sun. So in this case, Mars, again, is action. Sun is individual, your soul, who you are. Mars, action in a break and adjust angle, which is a difficult one, is not in tune with who she is. So the actions she's doing is not really who she feels she is. So that's a crisis on her part. Now, that means that she's probably having moments where she might be thinking, am I doing this correctly? Or should I be doing this? But remember, the other things in her chart are going to be pushing her to move in that direction. Now, next, what we have Mars that is square, both the North Node and the South Node. What is this? It's, again, public confrontations. But it's also a pressure to conform. So she's getting pressure to go along with the status quo. In this case, the status quo is sort of throwing away all the norms. Now, this is it's a karmic type of configuration. Because in effect, you're being asked to sort of look at your deeper calling and not act. And again, this is Mars making so these are actions. It's saying don't act in the way you would have before. Act in a different fashion. Well, in this case, this angle actually came about on 7/10 of 25. Which means she's already been at this point and she's already made a decision. So in effect, she's not moving towards her better angels. She's moving towards just sort of going along with the flow. And that, again, is a karmic setback. Now, it's not, from her point of view, it's very positive. She's getting power. She's got a big agency that she is, in control of. She's pretty much allowed to some degree to do what she needs to do or what she's being told to do. And on the flip side, the results of this are being felt by many, countless immigrants that are here. And as I noted before, some of these are illegal immigrants, but some of them were actually legal, but they're changing the status in the systems and making them illegal. So in effect, they have been allowed to come here. They've got, immigration papers, everything else. They're studying. They're here on residence, but they've literally just changed the status of their visas. So they deserve a day in court. As I noted, I went ahead and I looked at some stuff moving forward because I wanted to see if she was going to still accumulate power. And it doesn't seem to be as much as what has happened in a short period of time. Now, there's more to do on that. And again, more charts. There's always more charts to look at. But it is definitely, she is in a position of power. Definitely someone that has, moved to a very solid standing probably in this administration. I hope you enjoyed the probability analysis on this. And thank you for watching. And check out my website. I offer services to, regular people. And thank you and have a good night.